So to start, we're kind of looking at different client files right here. So I'm going to click on client 1, and from here you can see some other folders, and today we're going to kind of focus on programming. So we'll start right there, and here's kind of everything that would be in a clients folder for programming. So as you can see, we have a bunch of different domains available here. We're using VBMAPP, but you can do this with anything. We're going to click on this demo workbook to get started. What I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom out really quick so you can see the whole screen. And this page is called domain tracking. It's kind of where we have all of our long-term objectives listed, and the date we introduced those, the date we closed them, and the reason why. So moving on, the next tab is the cumulative record. This is for putting in cumulative targets. All the way over here to the right, you can see we have 2 graphs. There's no data in there right now, but that cumulative record records that data. We'll come back to that later though. I want to show you the tracking sheet. This is kind of where all the data goes when recording something. So right here, I'm just going to put in just a milestone from interverbals. Let's put in 6M. And we'll need to add a description, so I'm going to go back to domain tracking and just copy that data from there for 6M. And I'll paste it up here. After that, we'll start to fill in the information at the bottom down here where we have skills section. I'll put in 6M again. And then I'll have to choose a target name. Since we're looking at interverbals, I'm going to just type in ready, set, go. Once your target name is inputted, you'll have to decide on criteria. In this case, I'd probably be running some sort of trials. So let's just say, 90% times 2, maybe 90% correct 2 days consecutively. For introduced, I'll just put the introduction date. So I'll just type in today's date. Theoretically, once that target's acquired, then you'll put the acquired date as well. Adding another target, theoretically, let's say we have 2 interverbal targets open at the same time. Same criteria, same intro date. Once that intro date's input, we're going to go down to the tab where it says tracking and rename that file just so that we have an identifier on it. And so I'm just going to put that 6M right there in front of it, and we'll do the same thing for the probe. So this probe sheet is for tracking the day-to-day for each target. So we're going to transfer those target names onto this sheet as well. So here we have ready, set, go. We're going to add Mickey Mouse below that. And to the right, you can see where we're going to end up putting our data. So we baselined on 10-10 for both of these targets. I'll just say 32%. As you can see, we already added some data. Just to show you what it looks like when you're putting it in, I want to also show you that it ends at 25 over here. So we're going to go over what happens when you get to that. I've added some more data, and we're just going to copy this just so that we can get all the way to the edge. Once you fill up your 25 cells, it's pretty easy. You'll just go to the next one, number 3 down there, put Mickey Mouse as a target again, and then in parentheses just say continued or something along those lines, and we'll just continue taking data from there. We go to 25 so that I can print on one page. Recall that our criteria was set for 90% times 2, so this one's mastered. We're going to move to our tracking sheet to update that it was mastered on 10/16. I like to color it in red just to show mastery. From there, we're going to move to that cumulative tab on the bottom. Input your Friday date, the total number of targets acquired across that week, and then there's a math check for the cumulatives. So I've input a couple of Friday dates in there, and then at the top, I'm going to replace client code with just my initials for some kind of code that we can use. Next, we're going to have to check and see how many targets were acquired. So We had 1 acquired on 10/15, so for 10/12 we'll put 0. Check your math check, and we had 1 on 10/15. So now I'm just going to put in some fake data just to play it out and show you guys how that math check works, and then we'll see how it looks on the graph. So click on cumulative record with the G in front of it, and you'll see our graph transcribed there. Interverbals, cumulative targets with the date range at the bottom. You can find that it'll print on one page too, regardless of how many data points you add. This graph shows something a little different. We can just see how many targets were acquired in a given week. So unlike the previous graph that's continually going up or plateauing, this one can go up and down. Moving to our domain tracking, we can update this now. Let's just say that 6M was open on 10/10, and we can put a close date too if it closes up. You can edit the rationale to be whatever you'd like. We like to just say goal met or met an assessment. Now I'm going to show you how to, or at least how I close probes and tracking sheets. I'll just change the color to red and move them to the back. As you can see, we're duplicating the probe and tracking sheets that also exist. This is so that whenever we open future targets, we have another probe or tracking sheet available. So it's important to always remember to make copies of those. I'm just renaming these 7M to show you what it would look like if we were opening a new milestone. Same process as before, we're just going back to that domain tracking sheet and carrying over the milestone description data. This is an instance where you may take data differently. Maybe you're not doing a percentage trial, maybe you're doing a yes-no cold probe, however you decide to do it. So I want to show you how you can incorporate that into your probe sheet as well. So I'm just typing in cold probe, basically means yes or no data, 3 consecutive sessions of getting a Y response. I'm going to update the probe data sheet to rename it with that 7M attached. Then we're just going to transfer that target name from our tracking sheet over to this probe sheet. For baseline, since we don't have a percentage, I guess it would depend on how you run baseline, but in this case we're just going to say that he did not get it in baseline. I'm entering in some other data now just to show you kind of how that would look. We're just putting a Y or an N to indicate yes or no. You could put yes, you can type no, it's up to you. I also want to show you how I like to indicate program changes that were made. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill in these boxes gray. I'm going to go to the box above it and just put a PC for program change. It's up to you what abbreviation you use, and then right-click that cell and do an insert note and just type in your program change there. I like to put my initials afterwards and possibly the date, just so we know what date I submitted that program change. We'll add some more data, just pretending that after the program changed, the client started to respond correctly. It may be that you want to fade that program change. So since the criteria was met with our program change, I'm going to insert another program change to fade the use of the previous program change. It all depends on what your own protocols are, but this is an easy way to show that on your data sheets. You also have the option of printing these with your notes saved at the bottom.